Today, Master. Yes, we're back again with another banger. Oh, yes, we're back again. So, today we're going to touch on Simone Biles. I told you guys I am a Simone Biles and Sha'Carri Richardson fan. I support both of those young ladies. Shout out to them. Let's start that off first and foremost. But this topic is not specifically about Simone Biles, but it is about her relationship with her mother. There was a story that came out, and I'm not sure if they interviewed her mother, but her mother is back in a small town working at a grocery store, and it appears that not Sha'Carri, but Simone Biles does not have a open relationship or a good relationship with her mother. Due to being abandoned, being on drugs, some of the same stories you hear from the DMXs, it's a few others that had tumultuous relationships with their mothers, because there is this narrative that it's always the dad that's the deadbeat. No. The first deadbeat parent is usually going to be the mother, because the mother determines if a child is born or not. Most people are not born out of forced conception. I'll say that again. Most people walking around on this earth is not a grape baby. That's less than 5%. But you see the narrative that if a man is not paying child support doing this, if he's not paying enough child support, they're going to put him behind bars. But they don't talk about the toxic mothers. If she don't have a job, here's food stamps. Oh, you don't have this? Okay, here's a voucher. Here's this. You get all this support because this economy is set up to feed your children to the machine. That's once we understand that alone, that concept alone, the setup and structure of this so-called country, you'll be better off. This is a capitalist country, meaning it's for the betterment of the country by cost of your and your children's life if you don't raise them in a proper setting or in a proper fashion. So we have a ton of deadbeat mothers. I mean, just look at some of the criminals that you see on TV every single night. 8 people shot, 6 people shot, 4 people shot, 3 girls shot, ex-girlfriend. You see all of these heinous acts, and then you see the suspects that are arrested, and they all have the same profile. All have the same exact profile. And what's the common denominator, Chris, Date Master? Well, they come from a single mother home, because the stats and the numbers are there that a single father household raises a child almost equivalent to that of a 2-parent. So what we've come to realize, again, we're in the new era. See, we're on the brink in the horizon of change. I hope you gentlemen are investing yourselves daily, whether that's working out, working on your skill, putting in the work to learn your skill or your craft and build a business. I hope you guys are investing yourselves daily, because we're on the brink of a change. This is a new day and age. What has went so long without being checked is bullshit ass and piss poor ass parents. Because I'm going to tell you what I noticed, especially in the South, if you're in the Bible Belt, this is one of the most religious, so-called Christian areas in the world. However, you have such an increase and have the highest poverty, STD rates, poorest education, infidelity outside of California and New York. But you got such a region that's Bible Belt, Bible thumping, holier than thou, but has the most issues. And a lot of that stems from parents not being critiqued. Because what they do is they try to put fear in you. And this goes back to, and I don't want to touch on slavery, but this goes all the way back to slavery. When you listen to our dialect in the South, they say, I can't understand what you're saying. That's because it was beneficial to play stupid and talk like you were not a smart individual. Because if you were to speak articulate, they would say, well, this man or woman knows how to read. He's a threat because he or she is going to teach the other slaves how to read and write and speak eloquently, such as myself. But for so long, you had parents that go unchecked, uncritiqued, under the honor thy parents and all of this, and you respect no man. So if my parents are rapists, murderers, etc., I supposed to still respect them, right? If I see my parents stealing from innocent people, taking advantage of innocent, I still supposed to not critique them and check. And what the fuck are you talking about? That day is gone. This is a new day and age. You saw movies like The Children of the Corn. You see movies like City of God. The children have spoken. And they are speaking indirectly and directly through their actions. And that's all because they cannot go to their parents and say, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You see, it was a struggle with me, just me. You already made the decision to have a child out of wedlock, and you go and do it again. But the son or the daughter can't say nothing to the mother because it's honor thy parents and thy days should last long and all that bullshit. I don't subscribe to that mentality, no. And this is speaking from experience who've had run-ins with both of their parents. And I still love them to this day. However, I said I'm going to do a video. It's a difference between loving someone and enabling someone. It's a big difference. And I've seen my mother and other mothers do a lot of bullshit and say a lot of bullshit to me, myself, and to others, whether it's their children, etc. And no one has said a thing. No one can say a thing because we can't say nothing to mama and them. That's big mama and them. You know our mama and them. You just got to go along with it. Weak men. Again, I challenge you to go through your family's tree and count the stern, stoic, masculine, successful men in that family that really rule with an iron fist and not the happy life, happy wife bullshit mantra. Count the men in your family that really rules like a king and is treated like a king. I bet you can't count 4. I bet you can't count 4. Because the men that reach those heights and develop such standards, they go through the fire. And when you go through that fire, you come out polished and refined and unmovable. You can't be corrupted. And you have a standard so high because you know what you get by not having a standard. You know what that comes with after going through the fire. So those men that go through that, those men are going to be the most hated because they're coming with structure, discipline, and purpose. But you're going to have the Simone Biles and many others that, the relationship gets to the point to where I cannot talk to you or I no longer desire to be around you. And a lot of people would get shamed for that. But what about the child? Because what it is, when it comes to mama, I'm going to tell you when it comes to mama. When it comes to mama, mama always gets the grace. Mama always gets grace. And we all do some grace. But I can't just sit back and watch you destroy this family and hold this family back from progressing. I cannot sit back and watch it and not say anything. I won't sit back and watch it and say anything because as a man, and again, seeing men in my family and others sit back and just take what's given to them. Oh, no, those days are gone. This is why you have a lot of older men. A lot of men are just silent. They're just counting the days. They're just counting the days. They live in a house. They live downstairs. They don't stay in the same room. You never see them professing their love for their wife. You see the men who are married telling other men by the thousands, don't get married. Don't get married. Don't get married. But you got to ask. And then you see the women who get in some of these conversations with the Hebrew Israelites who, I'm not sure if you may have saw this, the Hebrew Israelite who came up with the shirts, don't listen to black women. And you saw the women in there sounding off and said, these men really hate us. These men really hate us. And I'm going to do a video on that. But they never asked the question, why? Why do the men hate you? You never wonder why. Because again, I'm seeing these women say this by the hundreds and thousands. You never see them ask why. Because they know why. But because they're so programmed, they can't undo the damage that has been done to them. So they just put that damage on their children and those around them. But you notice mama always going to get grace because mama went through this. Mama did this. Mama did the best. No, 90% of doing the best you can do as a parent is picking the right partner. That's 90%. So if you have a child in poverty, I'm looking at women now pregnant. No real skills, no relationship, i.e. marriage, still having babies in the midst of a recession. Still having children in the midst of a recession because daddy government and the baby daddy that I want to plant this baby on is going to pay for it. Still having babies out of wedlock. It's the best she can do. She did the best she can do. She was just being No. You won't get any credit for the best you can do when it comes to children in my book. Because again, doing the best for the child is having a firm foundation and base and having a family first, meaning you're married. It's an order of operations. You get yourself together, you meet someone, and then you come together, you build together, and then you create together. You create the family because now I have the structure and environment. Again, you have women that will have a baby and do the same exact shit 16 years later, expecting amnesty and praise, and even having the audacity to think a quote unquote high value man is going to come and pay for them three. Her, the one child, and the last child. These are fools. These are fools. But you're going to see a lot of these, a lot of greats that we see today, athletes, actors, etc. A lot of them have tumultuous relationships with their mother, and they come out on top when the father steps in. Let's ask the Serena, and I'm not sure how her mother, if their mother either passed, I'm not sure what the story is on the Serena sisters. But I can confirm the dad's investment in presence made them who they are today. It made them who they are today. Simone Biles, Sha'Carri Richardson, I believe, also stated something to the effect of my biological mom, which already indicates there's a problem when I have to say my biological mother. It's a lot of these situations, and when you cut ties, I believe you're well within your right if you feel abandoned and the parents are not taking accountability. But we're going to touch on this weekend on the New Normal Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell for this channel. This is the Date Master tuning out. Appreciate you for checking in.